Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Raw review on this day, the 2nd of January 2012, a big day in WWE as it is the first show of the new year. This is the first Raw review of the new year for us, the British Fist.
Catching!
Mr. Parkin, first appearance of the new year. NJ, first appearance of the new year.
What up?
Exactly. Make sure you guys subscribe up above, like this video, put your comments on this episode of Raw down in that comment section below.
Make sure you contact us in the link in the box below.
Yes, and this was a very well hyped Raw, wasn't it? We had a WWE title match, the 1-2-12 promos, the return of Brodus Clay, which didn't happen. So all in all, we had plenty of reasons to look forward to this Raw, didn't we? Yeah. Should we just move on? I think you can tell there that some of our thoughts on Raw. We started off the show with a video package of last week's main event with Kane telling John Cena to embrace the hate. And what a surprise! We begin our New Year's show with the top babyface of the company, the guy who NJ hates, John Cena. He comes out talking about he will remain who he is, loyal to his fans, hustle, loyalty, respect, blah, 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 to a mixed reaction as usual.
And of course, you have to mention The Rock.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that is essentially, this all is essentially filler until WrestleMania, so why not mention The Rock? And then we get Kane's voice on the tannoy on the Titantron, and basically saying that Cena will embrace the hate later tonight. And I thought that was interesting. So I guess it was a mixed opening segment. I just think this is the best segment to start off. It's just funny how you look at this. You think Cena's opening the show, Cena's in the main event. We had the return of Jericho. We had a WWE title match, and I'm thinking to myself, why was this? You know, the opener and the main event was Cena related. I'm like, are WWE going back to their old ways again?
Well, with them hyping up the return of this particular wrestler, Jericho turned out to be, that should be in a better place where it was. We'll get to that later.
Yes, so after that opener, we had Daniel Bryan versus Cody Rhodes, champion versus champion. Right, okay, smart brains click into gear. First question we want to ask is, why was this match even on the card? Why are these two facing each other off when they both have title matches on SmackDown? And why does the match only last 3 minutes and Bryan win by roll-up? I don't mind Bryan winning because he's the Worldwide Champion, but God, just why was this even on the card? You could have not had them on Raw and the title matches would have been made better because of it, I feel.
To be honest, when I went to this match, I really had a bad taste because obviously both of them, Daniel Bryan especially needs to be booked better. Cody Rhodes is in this growth as the IC champ, so he needs to be booked good. To have them together, they're going to clash, and it just wouldn't make a good match. Yeah,
and it went 3 minutes. And I think that says a lot. You had Bryan rolling up Rose in 3 minutes. Okay, whatever.
It's made Cody Rhodes did look weak because obviously it was roll up, but again, it was just stupid match altogether.
You might as well have just taken this out and added it to something else. After this, we got a backstage segment with Miz, who was somewhat timid compared to the guy that pwned R-Truth and pwned John Morrison and pwned WWE. And you get this segment with him and Laurinaitis backstage singing, what is he going to do? What's he going to do about R-Truth? And John Laurinaitis books Miz versus Sheamus, especially after their 3-minute squash match on that episode of SmackDown. Remember that?
That match, again, we've seen it once. It didn't work out for either one of them, not really. And they're about to replay it again.
Quack, quack, quack!
That was the
quack, quack, quack! Oh, that was fucking funny. R-Truth coming in going quack. That was hilarious.
Very nicely dressed. He got straight to what he said, but he didn't actually have to say anything apart from make it joking by saying quack.
Yeah, so start of the face turn, I imagine. I'm so glad WWE did this. We finally get our first Royal Rumble Classic package of Hacksaw Jim Duggan winning the first Royal Rumble in 1988. They should be airing at least 2 of these every week to add to the build of Royal Rumbles and to add to the big time feel. And I like the way they did this throughout the night. They did it with the Shawn Michaels 95 one as well, and I like that.
Well, again, yes, it shows you the past and so the present Rumbles, like last year's Rumble, but it's good to show big classic moments happening in Rumble. Maybe they're going to continue showing that up to the Royal Rumble itself.
They should do. That's a good way of advertising for it. We then get Barrett versus Santino. They show footage of Barrett throwing Orton down the stairs on SmackDown and supposedly injuring him for 6 months. Nah, that's what WWE wants you to believe, but he's actually only out for a few weeks and he'll probably make a triumphant return at the Royal Rumble. And he talks about going into 2012 devoid of Randy Orton, who's another victim of the Barrett barrage. Good shit.
Having Barrett on mic, it was great, very good. The problem I had with this though, just like on SmackDown, he's another SmackDown wrestler hyping up the Rumble. And I'm like, you've got Raw wrestlers. Make us believe that maybe a Raw wrestler's going to win the Rumble. Maybe that'll come into the next few weeks, but It just didn't happen this week.
I'm glad that he's mentioning the Royal Rumble and going on that he wants to, after getting rid of Orton, he wants to win the Royal Rumble and move on to the next step. So I did enjoy that about Barrett's promo. It's just that you had Santino come out and says, the Battle Barrage will be over and I'm going to end it with a Cobra! And I'm just like, it's funny stuff, but you can hardly take Barrett seriously.
The thing is, he ripped Barrett, which caused me, whoa. He said, who lasted longer in the Rumble, me or you? Wow. But anyway, the match itself, yeah, it was a bit of a jokey match. Again, it was filler, so it wasn't like a match that they both need to look strong.
At least it made Barrett look strong. In a minute, he beat him in a minute, which is good. That's what he needed to do, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, it was entertaining to see Santino, but it made Barrett look strong, so there we go.
Okay, fine. We then get Sheamus versus Miz, and we were at the start thinking, oh, God. But Sheamus basically beats on Miz, they beat on each other, and the match never officially happened, so no one has to do a job. And then we get R-Truth in the crowd, cutting a promo saying that Little Jimmy says, Miz gonna get got. And that was funny shit.
Very good. He was there waiting, came down, went up to the Miz. Miz ran over the barricade. Sheamus broke it, and then it just went from a bottle smack on the head there.
Do you think they could play out this feud until WrestleMania? I mean, they have Royal Rumble coming up. They're both going to be in the Rumble. Elimination Chamber, both be in the Elimination Chamber. Do you think they could culminate this feud at WrestleMania, maybe?
Well, the way I see it, the Rumble, it could go either way. One getting over the other.
Exactly, so it could be
Chamber, it could all lead. Every pay-per-view has some kind of gimmick that will keep them apart from actually getting a clean win over each other.
And Truth is still looking very heel, and the crowd are still cheering him. So this tweener character could play out to be very good, because people were still cheering him, even though he was being the same old R-Truth heel.
I think that's the good thing about R-Truth, because we're all thinking, oh, please don't turn back to a face. So for him to stick as a heel and actually come across as a fan favourite as well, again, I thought it was nicely done. It's definitely good for his character. It's
continuing this feud between Miz and R-Truth, making it interesting. So I did enjoy this segment. We then get, in our main event, the top title in the WWE has been defended in the main event. And I can't say I'm surprised. I was thinking to myself, wow, yeah, I guess we have these vignettes that are going to be the main event. This is why it's the main event. We'll get more to that later. Ziggler versus Punk for the WWE Championship. Again, these guys, obviously, they're great wrestlers. They put on a good match. 13 minutes. It was good.
This match got hype up from last week, so I was looking forward to this. We all knew that Punk was going to retain somehow. But again, I was looking forward to this just because they're both good wrestlers that we've seen Ziggler in matches that has shown that he can last good main event style matches. Punk, who obviously is our champ, so we want to see him perform great as a champion. And it's just good sometimes on TV. We may take this for granted, but it's good to just see a good wrestling match, isn't it, sometimes, rather than this usual entertainment stuff we get. It was quite funny in this match how you had Ziggler and Punk's little bump on the ropes was a bit, oh god, that made me cringe a little bit. But you get Laurinaitis distracting the ref while Punk has Ziggler in the Anaconda Vice. I found that really stupid. Like, buckles come off all the time, the ref ties him back up. But for Laurinaitis, who's always meant to be running the show, comes down, complains about it. I was like, oh, Laurinaitis.
I know Laurinaitis is a botch fest, but this whole thing between him and Punk is kind of growing on me slightly, not fully, but kind of growing on me slightly in the fact that Laurinaitis is just a silly fool. But yeah, so basically Ziggler gets the win via count out after Laurinaitis, pulls down the rope for Punk, and I think we're going to get a Royal Rumble match out of this now, because we had Ziggler winning, Ziggler going around the ring as if he won the fucking title. And then, it looks like they're going to be facing each other off at Royal Rumble, which was apparent later on in the night.
He pulls a CM Punk and just runs away with the belt, and Punk goes after him, but he's too frustrated. And I'm like, okay, so now we know Punk's the champ, but I don't know why Ziggler, after being in the company that long, still thinks he's the champ after being counted out, but whatever.
He thinks that doing a headstand is showing off. But I did like the segment in the sense that we didn't get a clean victory. We essentially got a Royal Rumble match out of it, which is the first one announced, which is good. It's starting early build for a Royal Rumble match between the two for the WWE title. So in this set, it's just a shame that we had to see these two face each other off 2 or 3 times on free TV before we saw it at a pay-per-view. I think that's my only issue. But again, I'm glad we got a match done for the Royal Rumble in this segment. That's why it was me, it was a pretty good segment. Last thoughts?
Again, I'm thinking that we got a match made. We weren't really expecting it the first show of the new year, but we got a Rumble match, so I'm glad. Thumbs up WWE.
Bellas versus Kelly and Eve Torres. Boy, the fucking British Prestige Time guys could not get back sooner.
One big question before we get into this: where was Beth Phoenix, the Divas champion, and we had to show these Divas instead of the Divas champ?
I think she has a shiner. I think that's the only reason why I imagine she's not on TV, because after that thing that Alicia did to her last week, she's probably got a shiner. We know this. Vince McMahon loves himself some twins, and why that is, I don't know. But Twin Magic gets the victory, and Bella's get the win in 2 minutes. It's another segment which we just don't give a shit about, really, isn't it? Should we just move on to the next segment that we did care about? Right, so, in the next segment, which surprised me a lot, you had the return, 1-2-11 or whatever, 1-2-12, whatever it was. Chris Jericho returns. They did this quite well at the start. They had the special effects, the Y2J, coat and everything, and that was going great. And he came down to the ring, he milked his entrance, got the crowd going, and that was good until he just kept doing it. Exactly, he just kept doing it. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, all this build, and he didn't say anything, and he just did that. And I can see a lot of people are saying, oh, he didn't need to speak, he had the crowd going and stuff. But to me, personally, after all this build, it was just incredibly disappointing that they had all this build and we got that. Just me, personally. I don't know what you think about this.
My big story about this is that Jericho came down, there was a time until the mic and down, I really thought, yes, mention that you're going to be in the Rumble, get us hyped up for you returning, what you're going to do. But instead he kept going, all he kept doing was, come on, come on.
I can understand that this may tease a heel turn. I do wonder why. I mean, I like Jericho returning and everything. It was good shit at the start, but then it just got a little bit air. And I just question, even though this wasn't a good segment, why this wasn't the main event. A big video package like that is demoted to match before the main event, so Cena can be in it. He played the crowd really well, though. I've got to give him that.
Yeah, he's definitely got the crowd behind him. He's got a good return, a possible good base thing for Jericho. I liked seeing him again, but it's just that his thing went on too long. Yeah. He didn't really do anything that let us think what's happening next, what's your big return about. The video packages to build him up was awesome, but his return not as big as his video.
I probably feel. I mean, I do want to know why he actually is returned, which is why might have accomplished it kind of in the sense that I want to see what he has to say, but just the actual moment itself could have been a lot better, in my opinion. That is all really. Glad to see Jericho back, but the segment was just a bit not as well as it could have been done, in my opinion, and NJ's opinion too. Our main event, as set up earlier on in the night, we had Cena, Big Show, and Ryder versus Kane, Henry, and Swagger. So right. You had a WWE title match, and Jericho returning, yet this was the main event. I'm sorry, but I know Cena's in it, but why the fuck was this the main event? This was ridiculous.
The thing I noticed about this straight away is Big Show is not a World Heavyweight champion, Daniel Bryan is, and he's not in the match. So
it's funny how they have Big Show and Mark Henry in the main event, and the World Heavyweight champion Daniel Bryan is second on the card. And of course, Mark Henry, there wasn't the whole reason they took the belt off Mark Henry was because he was injured and he couldn't wrestle. This is ridiculous.
But the way they scripted him out of the match was, okay, I guess he didn't have to wrestle too much.
You've got a tongue coming out and saying that Kane isn't competing, the match will continue as a handicap match. I just can't see why this is the main event. The match was shit. The match sucked. I didn't even like the match at all. The only good thing about it was the end of the match. Cena gets the victory, of course. At first, Show and Henry get DQ'd.
Yeah, at first I was thinking, why you booked us a main event and you change it at the last minute, but it makes sense after the match.
Yeah, because after the match we have Kane coming from under the ring, very familiar territory for Kane, and suffocating John Cena like I'm doing now, NJ. Now you can wake up now, NJ. I didn't really suffocate you. Oh, this dude is selling better than John Cena. Yeah, and then we get this, and NJ can, you can just get out of the review now. I'm joking. Basically, we get Kane going to take Ryder into the hole. You're dragging him into the hole like, and then Cena comes and saves the day.
Oh my freaking god! I was enjoying it. Cena's out, yes. Ryder, who we don't really like, was getting a beating. Then Cena's coming, make the rescue. I was just like, all right, what we predicted.
But at least we get this whole nice scene, when the fire comes from the hole. I thought that was pretty well done. It's just this main event match for me wasn't very good. I don't see why this was in the main event slot. It seemed like they had so many things to put that there was always going to be sacrificing at least one thing in that slot where it should have been. I don't know. It's just Ryder in a main event again. over like Daniel Bryan and Punk and ugh.
I will say this. Throughout the match, there's little segments between the right view, it did that justice. But the whole main event, I really didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy the main event.
No.
Kane didn't really say it for me either, which is a shame.
Yeah, indeed. Kane mark number 2. Oh, number 1, sorry. Triple H mark number 1 too. So overall, considering the amount of hype this Raw had, and considering the amount that I think it's taken away from the Royal Rumble, I didn't feel this show really lived up. There were some good segments, but I expected a lot better from this show, especially with all the hype we got. At least we got a match for the Royal Rumble, though, and we got some early Royal Rumble hype, which I guess is good.
Throughout the night, it gave us possible feuds, like we had The Miz and R-Truth continuing, the knockout, the Divas, forget about that. And then throughout the night, I really felt that it was lacking booking, especially beginning of the night. I thought, what the hell are you putting these two together? So throughout the night, I was expecting the return of this wrestler, Jericho, to be good. The main event, horrible. I really can't see much good in this Raw.
I'll say this, we got Ziggler versus Punk, Truth versus Miz, Kane, Cena, I imagine. At least we got some storylines going on, which is nice for the WWE. It's just the show itself. It was somewhat entertaining, but it kind of was a bit of a letdown considering the amount of hype it had. We didn't even get Brodus Clay again. It's just, for me, I want to see him. I want to see him wrestle, and I'm not. And it's just the WWE are delivering on their advertising again. And that Jericho return, it's nice to see Jericho, but at the same time, it was a bit of a letdown in the sense that he just didn't say anything. There was no explanation after all this build. It's just, that's how I felt about it.
So my grade's going to be pretty low. I'm sorry for the people that found part of this Raw interesting. I didn't really like it. So you may get a C-D. For me, there was some positive I felt from this Raw, so I'll give it a C. Solid C. I mean, if it lived up to expectations, probably would have got a BB+, but it really didn't, so that's why I'm giving it a C. There was some positive in this show, though, so... If I add the positive to it, me personally, mood-wise, C-, but the build, it had Royal Rumble mention, I'll give it a C then, yeah.
You changed your grade quickly.
You just think about it, it had, mood-wise, it was horrible. My mood was dropped out throughout it. But the fact it gave us Royal Rumble build tonight, pretty good.
Fair enough then. Make sure you guys get your thoughts on this episode of Raw down in the comment section below, of course. And that's been it from me, Mr. Parkin, of course, and this guy sitting next to me doing his usual I didn't like Raw face roll. It's NJ.
What's up?
And do your thing, NJ. Do it.
People, hope you've enjoyed Raw as much as we have. Give us your grade, your comments in the comment section below. And that has been it from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, the British Biz. Till next time, people. Goodbye.